Welcome to Sam's Business Growth Show. I'm Sam Dunning, a digital marketing, sales and business growth evangelist. Tune in and subscribe today as I'll be interviewing business leaders, experts and entrepreneurs from around the globe. You'll be learning their story, how digital marketing has helped them along the way, and exclusive tips and insights to help you skyrocket your own business. And welcome back to a fresh episode of Sam's Business Growth Show. Delighted today to be joined by David Meerman Scott. David spotted the real-time marketing revolution back in its infancy and wrote 5 books about it, including New Rules of Marketing and PR, with more than 400,000 copies that were sold in English and available in 29 different languages from Albanian to Vietnamese. Now David taps into the mindset that relationships with customers are more important than the products that we sell to them. David, a very warm welcome. How are you doing?
Sam, thanks. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good on this side, my friend.
Good.
And looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah,
really.
me too.
I think we're going to take a bit of a different angle that we're yet to cover on the show and home in on how we can turn our customers into fans. But before we get into that, David, perhaps you could give us a couple minutes background on your good self, how you got into the business world, and for anyone that does not know David Meerman Scott, what you're about. If you want to incorporate a story, a bit of background, that would be much appreciated, sir.
Sure. When I got out of university, I thought I wanted to be a bond trader, started working on Wall Street, hated it, was terrible at it. But I loved the information that bond traders were using, companies like Reuters and Dow Jones. And so I went into that industry as a marketer. And I spent 10 years in Asia, about 7 years in Tokyo, the rest in Hong Kong. And then came back. I live outside of Boston and worked for technology companies here, always focused on this idea of real-time information. And then about 18 years ago, I was sacked by Thomson Reuters and started to go out on my own to teach people how to reach customers, turn them into fans on the web, specifically on the web. And this was way pre-social media. And fortunately, my books have done well. I've had 4 international bestsellers. The one that you mentioned, The New Rules of Marketing and PR, has sold like crazy. It's now in the 7th edition. And my latest book, which came out early this year, is called Fanocracy, Turning Fans into Customers and Customers into Fans. That hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list when it came out. So I'm all about trying to teach people to be more human and be more effective in the way they market and not just try to coerce people into doing something. I've been happily unemployed for 18 years.
Good man. Sounds like a great cause. All right, Dave. Well, let's jump into the main topic, how we can turn our customers into fans. Perhaps you could give us a bit of background on what that actually means. What is the process of turning our customers into fans, and why is that important?
So I wrote this book, Fanocracy, with my now 28-year-old daughter, Reiko. Actually, she's 27-year-old daughter, Reiko. Reiko and I have the same ideas about fandom. We both had this sense that the things that we're a fan of in our life are so important to us. In my case, I'm a huge, huge fan of live music. I'm going to take my little camera here and show you my live music Hall of Fame in my office. I've been to 804 live music shows, 75 Grateful Dead concerts. And my daughter Reiko is a huge Harry Potter fan. She's not only seen every movie multiple times, read every book multiple times, been to the UK to go on the studio tour, also went to the Wizarding World theme park in Orlando several times. But she wrote an 85,000-word alternative ending to the Harry Potter series where Draco Malfoy is a spy for the Order of the Phoenix and put that on a fan fiction site. So she's dug deep into the Harry Potter fandom. Reiko also happens to be a neuroscientist. She graduated with a degree from Columbia University, then went on to medical school and is currently an emergency room physician at Boston Medical Center. So we looked at very specifically the neuroscience behind why and how people become fans of a company, a product, a service, an idea. And it turns out that a lot of it is rooted in neuroscience, because we humans want to be part of a tribe of like-minded people. So when I'm at a Grateful Dead concert, or Reiko is with her Harry Potter friends, that's a tribe. And all of us have an opportunity to build a tribe of like-minded people. That's actually what you're doing right now, Sam, by doing a series like this and bringing people together to learn from people like me. You're building a tribe. And that is such a cool way to build business. And it's a different way than most people do.
Got it, man. No, that makes sense. And why is it important that us as business owners or sales professionals or marketers look to follow this process in terms of turning our customers into fans? And can you perhaps give us some actionable examples or ways that we can make that happen, David?
Yeah, so a lot of times what people in business do is they really, they try to coerce people into doing business with them. They're just out there trying to sell, or use the web to try to get you to click on something and put you into their click funnels and whatnot. And I think that what's better is to make a friend, make a fan first. You don't have to pitch your products right away. And then once you've got the fan base, then they will want to do business with you. They'll be eager to do business with you. And many times, as Reiko and I've been talking about these ideas, people say to us, but I can't build fans. I'm not in the kind of business that can build fans. And then they make an excuse. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a B2B software company. We're a commodity business, whatever it is.
Sure.
So Sam, are you a fan of your automobile insurance company?
Wouldn't have thought so. It's funny you should bring it up, because I've actually got to renew my car insurance in the next few days. It's one of those things I always leave to the very last minute, David. Absolutely hate it.
Most people are like that. Most people hate their insurance company, don't want to re-up. It's like no fun. I mean, think about it. Insurance, no one wants to write that check. And furthermore, you never want to use the product because it meant you crashed your car. That's why it's so interesting to look at a company called Hagerty Insurance. So we ran across them. I ran across them 18 years ago because I have a 1973 Land Rover Series 3 classic car that's been insured by Hagerty since then. And I always felt like, wow, these guys have built a fandom. So I had a chance to interview McKeel Hagerty, who's the entrepreneurial owner of Hagerty Insurance. And I said, how do you do this? How do you build your business? And he said, David, everyone in the insurance business is all about either being the low-cost provider or spending more money than the other guys on advertising. We had a different approach, he told me. What we did was we went out to grow fans of our business, and they've done a fabulous job. So what did they do? They go to well over 100 classic car shows a year. Now, not so many in the pandemic because of distancing and whatnot, but on a typical year, over 100 car shows where they meet with people. They provide free advice. They run seminars at the classic car shows. And their focus is 100% on classic cars. They have a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers. They have a drivers club with 650,000 members. And the drivers club are a way for people who share a passion for the same type of car to get together. They also realized that they have probably the world's best database of true values of how much classic cars are worth, because they know the amount of money that people are insuring their car for, the value of them. And so they made that database freely available so that people could gauge how much their car is worth. All of these things are put out there for free, not to coerce people into buying a product right away, but to get them to become a fan first. Then they want to do business with Hagerty. They are growing by double digits every single year. They'll grow by 200,000 new customers this year. And they are the largest classic car insurance company in the world. They're now branching out into classic motorcycles, classic airplanes, and classic boats. Fabulous success story, all built on fans.
Awesome, man. So it sounds like you say, they want it to be different. So that, as you mentioned, many insurance companies, it's a case of, especially I know when I'm doing my insurance and carrying on with that example, I'm usually looking for the cheapest rate It's going to cover all the bits and pieces that I need for my car. I just drive a cheap run around. I'm not really a car guy. Even my fiance's got a better car than me. That's how not into cars I am. So yeah.
And here's another interesting point on that on that particular example that you just shared about how you do business around insurance. Is that if you build a business based on fandom, if you grow fans of your business, people are reluctant to leave, even if they find a better price, even if they find the better, faster, cheaper alternative. So, like I said earlier, I've been a customer of Hagerty for more than 15 years. I love what they do. I don't mind writing the check to them every year. They send me the magazine every 2 months, which I love. They've got all this data that I can access, which I love. And if another company were to approach me and say, hey, we also do classic car insurance and we're 25% cheaper than Hagerty, I'd say, thanks a lot. I'm not interested. So that's another cool thing about building fans, is that if you're just selling a product or service, people can leave and will leave for something a little bit better. If you're building fans, fans are reluctant to leave, so you're building for the long term.
Yeah, it's a really great example. I like it. And as you mentioned, it sounds like they tapped into quite a few different channels, be it attending the trade shows with the classic cars, be it the YouTube, be it creating some kind of forum, it sounded like, with a database, and making this all free resources that either existing customers or people that haven't yet used them can tap into and get stuck into. For companies that aren't quite on that kind of scale in terms of established businesses, don't have that kind of investment to put into all these different channels, what would you suggest, David, perhaps for startups or smaller based businesses, on how they can start generating fans?
One of the things that's most interesting to me right now, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, is the idea of video, using video. And that's also interestingly rooted in neuroscience. And the idea of video as being very effective has a very specific root in this idea of neuroscience, and I'll explain it to you. So we humans, as I mentioned earlier, are hardwired to want to be part of a tribe of like-minded people. When I'm with my tribe of Grateful Dead fans, I feel safe and comfortable. When my daughter Reiko is with her tribe of Harry Potter friends, she's safe and comfortable. When I'm with classic car owners, perhaps hanging out at the Hagerty booth at a classic car show, I'm safe and comfortable. It's my tribe of people. And that's actually rooted in us as a survival technique, because going back tens of thousands of years, if you were out in the woods or out on the plains with your tribe, and those were people that you are familiar with, comfortable with, live with, you are much safer than if you're alone, or much safer than if you encounter a rival tribe of some kind, or wild animals or whatever. And so that actually still sticks with us humans. And so the more a business can build a tribe, the more the business can actually meet with people and meet with them in the same way that these examples I shared, where people are come together, is really important. Now, I recognize we're in a pandemic, which brings us to video, but I want to explain a little bit about this idea of proximity first. A neuroscientist named Edward T. Hall identified different levels of proximity. In other words, how close one human being is to another human being. Further than 12 feet, he called public space. In public space, we know, our brains know, that there are people in our public space further than 12 feet away from us. We know they're there, but we don't actively track them. Between 12 feet and about 4 feet, Edward T. Hall called social space. Many people think that's why we now call it social distancing during the pandemic, keeping people in your social space. And inside of 4 feet is called personal space. Personal space is sort of cocktail party distance, or at a small table, you across the way from a couple of friends having a conversation. That's a personal space. The closer you get to someone, the more powerful the shared emotions are. And if you are with people you like, in a pub at a cocktail party, you feel safe and secure. Or at that Haggerty tent at the car show, or at a Grateful Dead concert, for me, we're safe and secure. You get into a crowded lift, a crowded elevator, and you don't feel safe because you're with people that are not a part of your tribe. So in normal circumstances, non-pandemic, the more you can get close to people and build fans, the better. But during the pandemic, there's another form of neuroscience that comes into play to explain the power of video, and it's called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are the part of our brains that fire when we see somebody doing something as if we're doing it ourselves, which I'll demonstrate. I've got a lemon and a slice of lemon. And if I take a bite of the lemon, my brain fires and my eyes close and water a little bit. My mouth puckers up and saliva glands are doing their thing. And, you know, it's a powerful thing to bite into a lemon. Did you feel that, Sam? Me biting into the lemon? Because your brain is firing too.
With that expression, I could. For anyone that's not tuning in, David squinted his eyes there, just as you can imagine, biting into quite a bit of lemon.
And it's interesting that even people who are only listening to the audio and can't see the video still feel like they are biting into a lemon, again, from mirror neurons. So here's why this is important for video. Because right now, we are filming this as if we're 4 feet from the audience. Now, I'm currently in Boston on the East Coast of the US. I'm probably just under 3,000 miles away from you, Sam, and can be 5, 6, 7, 8,000 miles from some of the listeners. You know, intellectually, I'm not in the same room with you. You know that. However, your mirror neurons tell you that we're right next to one another, about 4 feet away. It's a very, very powerful thing. And this is precisely why we feel we personally know a television star or a movie star. Intellectually, we know we've never met that television star or movie star, but our mirror neurons fire when we see them on TV or the movies a lot and tell us that we do know them personally. So what this means for video is if you shoot video like we're doing right now, about 4 feet away from the audience. That doesn't mean necessarily 4 feet from the camera, but about 4 feet from the audience. Casual tone, look directly into the lens. Don't use big words. You don't need huge high production values. And create interesting content. That's a super powerful way right now for anybody to build fans on a minimum or even no budget as a way to grow business.
Excellent stuff, David. Appreciate those tips. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and some of the notes we had down on why companies actually need to let go of their physical creations to be able to grow their fan base. So perhaps you could shed a bit more light on what that actually means and what we should let go of. Does that mean letting go of trying to pitch our products and things like that, or is it something different?
There's all different manifestations of this idea of letting go of your creations. And it really comes from my love of the Grateful Dead. So the Grateful Dead were one of the only bands in history that allowed fans to record their concerts. Every other band says no recording allowed. The Grateful Dead said, sure, you can record our concerts, bring your recording gear in. And in the early days, people traded cassette tapes, later on MP3 files. And that's what allowed the Grateful Dead's music to spread, is because people traded initially the tapes and later the data files. And so they built a massive fan base. And 55 years later, they're still touring. Not right now this year, but I saw them 6 times last year, 2019. Wow. And so this idea of creating information you can deliver for free, you're doing it right now with this show. Haggerty does it with their YouTube channel, with their database of car prices. And if you create something with no expectation of anything in return and give it away completely free, that's a super powerful way to build fans. However, what most companies do is they expect something in return. Rather than providing their content for free, It's more of a coercion technique. And the biggest manifestation of that I see is when a company creates a piece of content and then requires an email address to get the content.
Sure.
It's way better to put it out there for free, build the fan first, and then try to sell them something.
So I'm guessing from all the points you've brought up so far, David, this is more of a long-term play than a quick win. So if we're putting out these resources there.
Yeah, these ideas are not about how you're going to bring in new business tomorrow. Yes, they work to bring in new business tomorrow, but this really, truly is a long-term play. And I don't know as much about the state of business in detail in other countries. I've presented in in-person events in nearly 50 countries. I've visited 107 countries, all 7 continents. I lived in Asia for 10 years. I'm very much an internationalist, but I've lived in the United States now for about 20 years, the last 20 years. And in this country, it's very much a quarterly business cycle. All publicly traded companies have to report on a quarterly cycle. And venture capital companies that are funded by venture capital have to report on a quarterly basis. So we've developed, at least in this country, an approach to business that you have to show revenue every single quarter. And that's tied people to want to try to do whatever they can to bring in more revenue every quarter. It's only about revenue. And that means they're reluctant to invest into the long term. They're reluctant to invest in the kinds of things that we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes that will grow fans for the future. They're reluctant to invest in something that will allow them to have a sustainable business model for decades to come, like Haggerty Insurance has done, like the Grateful Dead has done, the Harry Potter franchise even has done. And instead, they're all about how can we get customers today to add to our quarterly numbers. So yeah, this is a long-term play. And I think, Sam, that, this pandemic, I think, has taught us that being kinder and gentler in our approach to business is a good thing. Constantly trying to focus on how you can extract the last penny of profit from every single customer. I don't know if that's sustainable. I mean, I just think that, we humans are going through so much during this period of time. The year 2020 has been difficult. And in my country, and I think in your country too, there's been a lot of polarization recently in the political process. I know there's polarization that's built into the social media platforms, especially Facebook. Facebook has drifted to be an evil place because what they're trying to do is get you to be part of a group of people and to subscribe to weird conspiracy theories and other things that are truly dangerous. So the kinder and gentler you can be, the more you can build a tribe, the more you can make a happy place. And I know I'm sounding a little bit airy-fairy, kind of Northern California-ish now. I get that, but it truly is a different way to approach business that can be super successful.
Yeah, and on that note, David, again, before we started recording this, we were talking a little bit about passion, how it can be infectious, and why your own passion. And if you work as part of a team, you've perhaps got colleagues or team members, their passion as well is quite important to build up your fans, your fan base. Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that side of things?
Passion, yeah, passion is really interesting because people are very, very much attracted to people who have passion. And interestingly, it's not necessarily passion for your company. It can be passion for the thing that you like to do in your private life. So we've already talked about my passion for live music. I've been to 804 live music concerts since the age of 15. In fact, yesterday, as we're recording this, September 23rd, 2020, which was yesterday, was the 40th anniversary of Bob Marley's last concert, which was September 23rd, 1980 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I shot the only known photographs of that show. I was a 19-year-old college student.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, and those photos became historic. Yesterday was a big day for me. It was some newspaper articles and whatnot about those photos. And people who follow me know I'm passionate about live music. What does that have to do with what I do? Write books and give speeches? Not a whole lot, but they know I'm passionate about music, so they're attracted to me. When Reiko and I studied this idea, the idea of how you can grow fans, one of the things that surprised us the most was how important this idea of passion is. It was really surprising to us how important that idea was. And because people are attracted to other people who have passion. We ran across a dentist. His name is Dr. John Marashi. And Dr. Marashi is a dentist in Southern California. And Dr. Marashi met me at a Tony Robbins event. I speak at Tony Robbins Business Mastery events a couple years ago. And I talked about the idea of fandom. I talked about the idea of passion. He approached me after the talk and said, you know, David, I hear you. I get what you're saying about this idea of passion, but I'm a dentist. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, we just fix teeth. So I said, well, Dr. Marashi, what do you love to do? And he said, well, I love to skateboard. And then I said, well, cool. Tell me a little bit about your dental practice. And he said, well, I'm a dentist in Southern California. There's 10,000 other dentists in Southern California. We all look the same. And I said, well, you would look different if you shared your passion for skateboarding. And that's exactly what he did. So he put skateboards on the wall of his dental practice. He skateboards from one examination room to the other. He has a website with pictures of him skateboarding on the website. He has an Instagram with, I think it's about 15,000 followers now, where there are images of him and videos of him skateboarding. And he contacted me a couple of months ago and said, David, since we met a couple years ago, I've implemented this idea of just sharing my passion for skateboarding. And I've been able to measure that just that one switch in the way I do my business was responsible for a 30% growth in my new patients last year and a 23% growth in my revenue last year, directly attributable to the simple fact that I started to talk about how I love to skateboard, and that separated me from every other dentist out there. I'm a business book author that loves live music, talks about it a lot. That separates me from other business book authors. So showcasing what you're passionate about is a super interesting way to grow fans.
That's awesome, man. And I love that you like skateboarding, being a skateboarder back in my youth as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating, and he's a good one too. I mean, I couldn't do anything near what he's doing.
Awesome, man. No, it's really great that you can take an industry where he thought that there wasn't anything particular interesting for anyone that's outside of the dentist industry that would actually engage them, and then you gave him that thought that he could use his personal interest in. And it's kind of skyrocketed from there by the sound of it, 30% growth. So
he's done a great job with it. Yeah, great job.
Really good. And I'm sure it's a lot of food for thought for anyone in a similar industry, so they can take their own personal interest and use that for any branding.
Industry, absolutely any industry. I mean, that was something that was so interesting to Reiko and I as we were studying this. It doesn't matter. You know, he's a dentist. You know, we talked about insurance. We found a U.S. government agency that has over 50 million fans. You can be walking down the street in any city in the world and not be surprised if somebody approaches you with wearing a T-shirt with the logo of this government agency. You know who I'm talking about, Sam?
NASA?
Yeah, it's NASA, right? It's NASA. They're a U.S. government agency with fans all over the world. So, you know, U.S. government agency, dentist, doctor, lawyer, business-to-business software company, nonprofit, consumer products company, it doesn't matter. Anybody can grow fans.
Love it, man. Well, this has been great, David. I really appreciate your thoughts and how we can apply this to our own businesses, and how we can relate our personal lives as well to really encourage our followers, our fan base, and make it happen, man.
I think, Sam, that I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's particularly poignant right now. You know, where a lot of us are struggling, frankly, and some of us have businesses where it's been really tough because of the pandemic. And these ideas that I've shared and other ones that are in our book, Fanocracy, are things that we can do right now to position ourselves for the future. Yes, you can also grow revenue right now, but I'm, looking forward to the day that I can give in-person speeches again. I've delivered hundreds and hundreds of in-person speeches, nearly 50 countries so far. The last one I delivered was on March 2nd of 2020. That's 6 months ago. I can't wait till I get back to in-person speaking, but I can build fans now. Everybody can build fans now so that when we emerge from this, you're that much stronger.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for it, David, and I'm all about the long-term play. Anyone who follows my stuff on LinkedIn knows I'm always talking about long-term strategies, be it digital marketing or otherwise. So I think that's definitely something that resonates with myself, and I'm sure a lot of people tuning in have picked up some great tips. So
Awesome.
really appreciate it, dude. David, I'd like to ask everyone that comes on, is there one digital marketing channel of choice that you think people should be on or be utilizing that's going to help them from today?
Yes, there is one very particular digital channel that you should be on, and that's the one that you love the most. People always say to me, David, should I be on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever it might be? And my answer is always, I can't tell you that. What do you love to do? Do you love to have conversations with people? Maybe you should be a podcaster. Do you love to engage with people? Maybe you should be focused on Twitter. Create videos, like we're doing right now. You maybe create a channel where you can deliver a video podcast like this, or you can have a YouTube channel, whatever it is. Because the truth is that if you try to do something you don't enjoy it, you won't keep up with it. You probably won't be very good at it. Do what you love to do.
What a great answer. Well, everyone, you've been tuning into Sam's Business Growth Show, where we sit down with business leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We found out their story, how digital marketing has helped along the way, and their exclusive tips and insights to help you skyrocket your sales and skyrocket your business. David, if you could thank just one person, either dead or alive, having a positive influence on yourself and your career, who would that be and why?
Well, that's interesting. I would say my wife, Yukari, because she was the one who pushed me really hard to start my own business. When I lost my job, when I was fired by Thomson Reuters, she's like, David, go out on your own. Don't work for somebody else. Work for yourself. And so I really credit her with pushing me in that direction.
Awesome, man. Well, David, please do tell us a bit more about how everyone can learn from you, how they can connect with you, a bit more about your books, and the best way people can get in touch.
Sure. So if you're interested in the ideas that we've been discussing today in this book, Fanocracy, Turning Fans into Customers and Customers into Fans, that I wrote with my daughter, we've got a website at www.fanocracy.com. You can check stuff out there. On the social networks, Twitter and Instagram and stuff, I am DM Scott, DMSCOTT. And I use my middle name, which is Meerman. So my full name is David Meerman Scott, DAVID MEERMAN SCOTT. I'm the only David Meerman Scott on the entire planet. So if you Google me, you get me, and you can find out a lot more that way as well.
Good man. Thank you once again, David.
Thanks, Sam. It's been fun.
Are you tired of constantly hunting for new customers? You could be missing out on regular inbound opportunities, all because your website isn't on the first page of Google. Perhaps you're already spending lots of money on advertising, but your website is failing to convert all of your hard-earned visitors into a consistent flow of new customers. If you'd like to learn more about our unusual approach that brings idle clients straight to you, connect with Sam Dunning on LinkedIn or book a free 20-minute consultation via webchoiceuk.com. That's webchoiceuk.com. Subscribe today for more digital marketing, sales, and business growth tips from the experts.